Can we start just by getting your sense of not just what you heard today, but perhaps what you've heard from day one of this papal trip?
It has been a very intense trip, very long days. I can't imagine how the Pope is holding up. Having had the unique opportunity of being in Alberta and now being here in Quebec, I think it opened with a message that was very clearly targeting Indigenous peoples, speaking to things that were very important for them. I was there, I heard the reaction from the survivors. There was this silence, there was crying, and you even heard these internal, cries where people were just releasing something. And when we were there at that powwow ground, I noticed there were a lot of people there, but I also noticed that there were a lot of empty chairs. And I think that speaks to people who are not ready to be there, but also people who choose not to be there.
And that underlines a really important point, right? Because everyone here is at a different stage of their healing journey. And I can't help but notice that there are plenty of people who came here and left here disappointed in what they heard from the Pope, or perhaps the lack of what they heard. No concrete action, no direct institutional apology. I mean, what do you make of that?
I think that I'm really looking at this through two lenses. I hear those people who are looking for that legalese, that legal-based apology that would hold accountability. And we have to remember that the Catholic Church is not a monolithic institution. The Pope is the Bishop of Rome. The responsibility of responding to survivors here in Canada lays with the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops. So this is where I'm looking for what kind of words are they using in their statements. In addition, I'm seeing, a Pope who's coming to Canada, making strong statements, setting a tone in the Catholic Church that's very different.
Right. I heard this said today that the Pope's presence is the message, in a manner of speaking. And to your point, I wonder, do you think that this does represent an inflection point where we may see the onus of actually committing to something concrete shifted to the Canadian bishops, to Canadian clergy, to Canadian priests and deacons and so on and so forth?
I've heard it over and over. He's made so many statements, our responsibility, the responsibility of the local churches, the local dioceses. I think he's making a really powerful statement. He's setting a new tone. He's setting a new working relationship. He's setting his expectations, and they're observing him, and they have to respond to this.
There's a lot of work to be done. Give me a sense of that work, the scale of the work, and the specifics of what it is that you want and need to see accomplished.
I think that there's going to be so many different expectations that there is no unilateral blanket approach for Canada. We have to individualize it. We have to tailor it to each community, to each nation. Some nations have multiple communities. There may be different responses internally in those groups.
And I think of the hard work that is ongoing right now in Chesapeake.
Chesapeake is one of the communities that had a Catholic church. It opened in the 1930s. Now they recently announced receiving funding for the ground penetrating radar. It will be a 2-year process. They are so mindful and respectful of survivors.
Can I ask you one more question before we go? Inside you, is there a feeling of reconciliation? Is there a feeling of forgiveness that you feel like you can tap into?
I had the most beautiful message from my elder last night, and she framed it, I'm here to represent the survivors who never came home. I'm here to work on my healing. I'm here to forgive myself and forgive those who trespassed against me. And I think that when you take that message from your elders, it sets a clear path forward. And for me, my expectation on reconciliation is that we as First Nations, unburden our youth and give them the task of healing the members in the future. This is not a one-generation task. It's going to take many. And I want to set them in a good path, a path of love, a path of understanding, most important, a path that's laid with the wisdom of our elders.
It's been a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.